Imagine a man who can predict the future, not by magic, not by some crystal ball nonsense, but by pure, hardcore mathematics. I'm talking about knowing when empires will fall, when chaos will strike, and when people will lose their collective minds. Basically predicting all of human history as if it were a weather forecast. Sounds crazy, right? Well, that's the premise behind Isaac Asimov's legendary Foundation Trilogy, a series that's so ahead of its time, it feels like the granddaddy of every sci-fi movie and TV series we love today. You like Star Wars? Thank Asimov. You like the idea of galactic politics, mega empires, and sneaky genius scientists? Yeah, Asimov was doing it before it was cool. Today, I'm diving into this epic, mind-bending trilogy, Foundation, Foundation and Empire, and Second Foundation. Books that made me rethink not only sci-fi, but how history itself works. And let me tell you, these stories aren't about aliens or little green men. No, this is all about technology, power, and good old human ambition. And of course, we've got villains, mindbenders, and a genius mathematician named Hari Seldon who might as well be called Space Jesus. Buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride across the galaxy. All right, let's start at the beginning. Foundation, published in 1951. And this isn't your average sci-fi adventure with laser beams and bug-eyed aliens. Nope, this story kicks off with a crisis. We meet Hari Seldon, a man so smart his brain could probably beat the entire internet in a chess match. He's a psychohistorian. Now, before you start imagining some weird combination of Freud and Nostradamus, let me explain. Psychohistory is basically this insane mix of sociology, history, and mathematics that allows Hari to predict the future, not for individuals, but for massive populations. He looks at the galaxy like it's one giant equation, and buddy, he solved it. What does he see? The fall of the Galactic Empire. Yep, that massive, shiny, galaxy-spanning government that thinks it'll last forever. Hari's like, nah, y'all got maybe a few centuries tops before everything goes full Mad Max. But he's not just dropping bad news and dipping out. Hari comes up with a plan. He wants to shorten the coming dark age of chaos, war, and barbarism from a mind-numbing 30,000 years down to just 1,000. It's like putting the galaxy on a crash diet of doom. His genius solution? Take a bunch of the galaxy's smartest scientists, stash them at the farthest edge of the galaxy, and make them create an encyclopedia. Yes, you heard me. Not a weapon, not a super AI, an encyclopedia. Think Wikipedia, but written by a bunch of high-strung scientists with no Wi-Fi. These guys, called the Encyclopedia Foundation, are tasked with preserving all the knowledge of humanity. So when the empire inevitably collapses, future civilizations will have a handy guidebook to rebuild. You know, like, step 1, don't blow yourselves up again. But here's the twist. Hari Seldon planned everything down to the letter. He even recorded these dramatic hologram messages that pop up at critical moments, hundreds of years after his death, like, hey guys, it's me, Hari. Yeah, I told you this would happen. Now here's what you do next. It's like getting voicemail instructions from a dead prophet every few decades. In this first book, we meet Salvor Hardin, the mayor who realizes that knowledge alone isn't enough. The Foundation needs power, and they start using their technology to play politics with the neighboring kingdoms. A bunch of nerdy scientists suddenly realizing they can dominate entire planets just because they understand nuclear power better than anyone else. It's like if NASA suddenly decided to take over the world with solar panels. And you know what? It works. They survive, they thrive, and they start building their own little empire of science. Fast forward to the second book, Foundation and Empire. This is where things get spicy. The crumbling Galactic Empire, the original big bad, decides to come after the Foundation. They're like, who are these nerds on the edge of the galaxy thinking they can outsmart us? But the real threat isn't the old empire. Oh no, it's someone new, someone unpredictable. Enter the Mule. And no, not the animal. The Mule is this mutant guy with a terrifying power. He can control minds. He doesn't need an army because he can make you love him, fear him, or just hand over your planet like it's a free gift. He's basically the galaxy's worst influencer. Here's the kicker. Hari Seldon didn't see this guy coming. The Mule is a total wild card, and his very existence throws all of Seldon's carefully calculated probabilities straight into the garbage. Remember, psychohistory works on big, predictable populations. But one unpredictable mutant with mind powers? That's like throwing a stick of dynamite into a chess match. The Foundation, despite all its tech and planning, falls to the Mule's mental domination. Yep, our smarty-pants scientists, outplayed by one mutant's brainwave mojo. It's like the ultimate plot twist. Which brings us to the third book, Second Foundation. And yes, there's a reason it's called that. See, Hari Seldon wasn't just a genius, he was sneaky. He didn't just set up one foundation, but two. The first foundation, our tech-savvy science guys, were always meant to be the public face of his plan. But the second foundation? Oh, they're the secret backup plan. Hidden in the shadows, these guys are mostly psychohistorians and mentalics, people with mental powers who can gently nudge history back onto the right path. Basically, they're like the secret puppet masters of the galaxy. The Mule, of course, is hunting for them. He's terrified of this second foundation because they're the only ones who can challenge his power. And here's the delicious irony. The first foundation doesn't even know the second foundation exists. They're paranoid and think this secret group is a threat to their freedom, when in reality the second foundation is out there babysitting them like overprotective parents. So we have this massive cat and mouse game. Who's controlling who? Who's really pulling the strings? And can even Hari Seldon's plan survive this mutant curveball? The book is all about that clash, technology versus mind power, knowledge versus control, destiny versus chaos. And there it is, the legendary Foundation Trilogy by Isaac Asimov. This isn't just any sci-fi series, it's one of the cornerstones of the entire genre. And yeah, this trilogy contains 3 of the original 4 Foundation stories. If you're wondering, the 4th was published separately, but this Del Rey edition gives you the real heart of Asimov's vision. So, what did I think? Well, I'll be honest. Asimov's prose isn't going to win any poetry contests. It's straightforward, clean, and sometimes a bit plain. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Because the ideas are unmatched. Asimov doesn't bother with aliens or flashy space battles. He's talking about power, history, politics, and technology. Things that actually drive our world today. Reading Foundation feels like peeking into the future and the past at the same time. You start seeing how civilizations rise and fall, how knowledge is both power and a weapon, and how even the smartest plans can crumble when a wild card, like the Mule, shows up. Hari Seldon, with his psychohistory, is kind of a metaphor for our obsession with predicting the future. Imagine if someone today could predict global crises centuries in advance. We'd probably treat them like a god, just like the Foundation folks do with Hari's recorded messages. And Asimov himself? The guy was a machine. He wrote and published under nearly every single major Dewey Decimal classification. That means he didn't just write fiction. He wrote about science, history, religion, literature, you name it. His curiosity was endless, and you can feel it in every page of the Foundation Trilogy. So, should you read it? Absolutely. If you're into sci-fi that makes you think, that makes you question history, politics, and human nature, this trilogy is a must. It's Asimov's greatest achievement, and honestly, it's one of those books that every sci-fi fan needs on their shelf, but I want to hear from you. Have you read Foundation? Do you think Hari Seldon's psychohistory would work in today's world? And if you could predict the future, would you want to? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you enjoyed this review, and don't forget to subscribe for more book dives like this one. Until next time, may your equations always balance, and may your future be mule-free. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're interested in diving deeper into this book, I've left some links down in the description. You can use it to grab yourself a copy and keep the adventure going. And if you're in the mood for more great reads, don't go just yet. Click on one of the videos popping up right now that I think you'll love. And don't forget to give this review a like, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. Every bit of support helps us grow this little community of book lovers. See you in the next one.